Hello, this is State Representative Rob Martwick, and I'm coming to you from my office here in Jefferson Park with another one of my video series, Straight Talk, Common Sense Solutions, talking about some of the issues that our state is facing and some of the solutions that are being proposed. Recently we did a whole series on the property tax system, and we'll keep doing these as long as you're interested in listening to them. I'm grateful for all the comments. Been out knocking on doors, going to block parties, talking to constituents. Had a lot of positive feedback from people who said, hey, thanks for doing those, because you really dig into the issues and you strip away the nonsense. And that's what I try to do here. Let me point something out as I point this out to everyone I have a discussion with. I understand not only that we are all allowed to have different opinions about the best way to solve our problems, but we should have different opinions, right? I don't ever want to serve in a legislature where I propose an idea and everybody thinks it's a great idea. We should have a discussion and debate. That's the way that we come up to find the answers. I've recently corresponded with a couple of my colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle about different proposals, and I think that's great. We should have those respectful dialogue. That's how we're going to get to the problems, the solutions to the problems our state faces. Make no mistake about it, the problems that we face over the course of the next 5 to 20 years are going to be profound, and we're not going to get out of them we're not going to find those solutions by pandering for political gain, right? We need to have real discussions. So with that in mind, let's talk about one of the pension solutions that's been proposed. Now, if you've watched any of my videos on pensions, you'll recognize that I've talked a lot about this issue. People want to know what's the state that we're in with our pensions, how did we get here, and how did we get out? And the bottom line is this, right? When people ask for solutions, they often say, fix it going forward, don't harm anyone who's already receiving a pension. And I think that's probably the most popular response. Fix it for all the new hires. What a lot of people don't know is we did that in 2010. Right? So the legislature in 2010 passed a bill called Tier 2 Pension Reform, and it was overwhelming pension reform which dramatically lowered the benefits promised to retirees for every employee hired after January 1st, 2011. And that's been in effect now for almost 8 years. And so we have no problem as it relates to new employees. What we have is we have a debt that's owed to our pension systems because we didn't fund them properly in all the years leading up before that change, right? So that's where we are. That's how we got where we are. And there are two big pension problems if I break it down, right? There's the debt that we owe to the state, and that's typically what you think of when I talk about pensions. But there are other debts too, right? So there are municipalities throughout the state that owe money to their pension systems, whether it's their police pension system or their fire pension system. Now, Chicago is without a doubt a big example of that, and that's what I want to talk about here, because when the pension problem came to a head in 2013, there was a bill proposed that would have changed pension benefits going forward, and the Supreme Court said you can't do that. They said that's unconstitutional. And so then the pension problem became a financial problem. How do you repay that debt? And much of what I've talked about and the solutions I've come up with were within that parameters. How do we repay the debt without diminishing the benefit that's owed to the retiree? You would think that that would be the way forward, but it's not. There are those that are convinced we can still diminish pension benefits. And one of those groups is the Illinois Policy Institute. Now, they post a lot of articles about pensions. And most people would associate the Illinois Policy Institute with suggesting that all new employees be put on 401ks. And that's a legitimate discussion to have. 401ks are clearly not the best investment. Pensions provide a better return, but pensions do provide more of a opportunity for mismanagement by government. Heck, that's how we got into this problem in the first place. Government mismanaging the funds, not putting them in, right? And so a lot of people have said, put them in 401ks, and then we don't have to worry about accumulating debt. That would be more expensive to the state, so it would cost more money today, but, and it wouldn't provide more money to the retiree, but that's another matter. But 401ks are not their only pension solution. One of the things that they advocate for, and you can pretty much find this in almost every article about pensions that the Illinois Policy Institute publishes, and it's not just the Illinois Policy Institute. They have a web of outlets where they provide information. One of them is WirePoints, that is just a spin-off of the Illinois Policy Institute. They have Dan Proft and his network of really sort of fake newspapers, it's what they are. Liberty Principles PAC, Liberty Justice Center. So they're all part of this web. So you can read about any of those when they talk about pensions. They talk about 401ks, but there's another thing they talk about. They talk about changing the Constitution and permission for municipal bankruptcy. So let municipalities declare bankruptcy in order to manage their debts. That's their proposal. And I think that's interesting, right? So let's talk about exactly what that would mean. What happens if the city of Chicago declares bankruptcy? Well, Chicago has a bunch of different pension funds, right? And let's talk about them. So we have and this is very important for anyone who's watching this that's a police officer, a firefighter, a teacher, or an employee of the city of Chicago, either in their municipal or laborers fund. You want to start by saying, well, how well funded are our funds? Police are at 26%, fire at about 24%, teachers roughly at about 50%, and the municipal fund somewhere in the 30s, okay? And so that's going to be important going forward, because when a municipality declares bankruptcy, the pensions, the way that they're treated is they become secured debt, meaning that they're protected from bankruptcy proceedings to the extent that they're funded, okay? And to the extent that they're unfunded, so it's the converse of this, right? 74% unfunded, 76% unfunded, 50% unfunded, 65% unfunded. To the extent that they're unfunded, they become unsecured debt. Well, how does that work, right? Well, the secured debt is the funded liability of the pensions plus bondholders, right? And if you think about the city of Chicago, if you know anything about the city of Chicago, they issue a lot of bonds. They do a lot of municipal borrowing through bonds. Those bondholders are securitized. They're first in line, okay? And then once all of those secured debts are satisfied, then the unsecured debt has to get in line and see what's left. Now think about the financial condition of the city of Chicago. Think about what assets they have to sell off, right, to pay for their debts, right? They could sell off the Skyway. Nope, they already sold that off. Well, maybe they could sell off the parking meters. Nope, sold that off too. Well, they could sell off like the parking lots for the park district. Oh, no, we sold off that too. See, there's not a whole lot of assets left to satisfy your debts. So a lot of those debts become extinguished in municipal bankruptcy. And so this is important. Are you a police officer, a firefighter, a teacher, a municipal worker in the city of Chicago? Well, then you should be especially concerned about this, but a lot of other people should be too. So when I say 26%, 24%, 50%, you might want to think of it not in terms of percent, but in terms of cents. 26 cents, 24 cents, 50 cents, 35 cents on the dollar. Okay? So if you're a police officer, Chicago police officer, Chicago firefighter, and you're buying into what the Illinois Policy Institute is selling, well, their plan, if they're able to achieve it, is to declare municipal bankruptcy, at which case you will be guaranteed 26 cents on the dollar, or otherwise. And then you get to wait and see what's left. Think about the city of Chicago, what's going to be left. If you were going to get another maybe somewhere between 5 and 20 cents on the dollar, that would maybe be the top end of what you're looking at here. So maybe you're getting 46 cents on the dollar. So think about that. If you're getting say a $6,000 a month annuity on your pension benefit, that could be cut in half. It could be cut into a quarter. And now you're getting $1,500 a month, and that's what you'd be living with. This is the Illinois pension solution, Illinois Policy Institute pension solution. Declare municipal bankruptcies, allow the municipalities to extinguish the debt that they owe to their pension systems, and dramatically and unilaterally reduce the pension benefits that have been retired. This does not just apply to future workers. This applies to current workers and current retirees. So if you're retired, This is what they're looking for. Now, I said if you're a police officer, firefighter, teacher, or municipal worker, you should care about this. But the truth of the matter is we should all care about this, right? Because these people live in our community, and these retirees live in our community, and they pay real estate taxes, and they own homes, they pay real estate taxes, they buy goods and services, they shop at our stores, they eat at our restaurants, and they drive our economy. And if you suddenly take these retirees, and these are middle class, working class retirees, and you cut their pension benefits in half or quarter, they're going to go into foreclosure, they're going to have their homes foreclosed on, or they're going to sell them and move and short sell them. That is going to drive down our housing values, and most people in my neighborhood, their house is their biggest investment. So you're going to drive down housing prices, you're going to close stores, you're going to fold up our economy. This is bad for the middle class. This is bad for the middle class. The Illinois Policy Institute likes to tell you this is good for the middle class. This is horrible for the middle class, okay? And this is something that people who care about the middle class should really be fighting against. We should find a way to structure the repayment of our pensions so that we can repay them in a responsible manner while holding down the cost of doing it. That should be our focus. Our focus should not be trying to steal the pension benefits that we're owed so that we can preserve tax cuts for the rich. That's what they're looking for, folks. They're looking to preserve low taxes, flat taxes that are low taxes on the rich so that they can, and the way that you pay for it is you extinguish the debt that you owe, right? The debt that you owe to people who served our community in some of the most honorable professions. So that's the Illinois Policy Institute plan. I don't think it's the right way to go about it. I have sat through the hearings where I've heard this discussed. I've listened about municipal bankruptcy, and I realize that this is a possibility. Every day that we do not work towards solving our problem is every day we're forced one step closer to this being the only option. So make yourself aware, understand the issues, understand the people who promote these issues. If someone is out there selling this and it doesn't work for you, maybe you ought to think about standing up against that. So that's a little bit today about the Illinois Policy Institute solution to our pension problem. And I'm happy to take any comments or criticisms or complaints or different analysis of this. This is how it would work. I had a long discussion with the Fraternal Order of Police about this just the other day, and I think it's something that everyone really ought to be concerned about, because like I said, it will affect you whether you're this person or not. Certainly it will be most dramatically affecting that, but for all the rest of us it will affect us too. So that's it today. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to talking to you in the next video.